Man, this episode was so dark. And by dark, I mean I literally couldn't see a single fucking thing that happened in this episode.
Yeah. I thought I was the only one when I was watching this episode. I was like, is anyone else... Like, I thought... Because we were watching at your parents' house, Torie, and, like, their TV is kind of, like, far away from us. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I can't see shit. Is it just because of the TV? But apparently it was just shot that way, where they had that blurry, foggy effect.
Yeah, and on two levels I get it. Like on the first level, it's like one, it's supposed to be dark and it's supposed to be chaotic, and you're not supposed to know what's happening because that creates that sense of like, oh my god, who's that? Like, oh, who's getting stabbed right now? Is that somebody we love? And then on like the other level, I get it because like if you hide it in darkness, then you can shoot things better. Like it hides VFX, like I'm sure of all the zombies, which is difficult to do, along with the staging and the battle. It makes CGI a little cheaper. So like on those two things, I get it. But it was just like, man, I just wish I could have understood more of what was happening.
Well, not only was it dark, it was also super like blurry and pixelated, and I heard later that was because of how many people were like watching it at the same time. But I don't know, I don't believe it. Like it was just so like.
Wait, people said that because there's so many people tuned in that the fidelity of the picture was lower because of that.
That's what I heard, which I think is
who did you hear? Are you taking your knowledge from the people outside under the bridge again? Don't listen to those people, Torie.
Okay.
Are these in your notes?
It was actually from my mom. So
what the fuck?
Yes, well, we're here at the Nerd Blaze talking about episode 3 of Game of Thrones, The Long Night, which was the big battle, the battle to end all battles, the one that we have been leading toward for 8 seasons, and it's finally here.
Yeah.
What? That's it, and now it's over, and I can say that I left it with a resounding meh.
Yeah, my initial impression is definitely disappointment for several reasons.
Mine was, once we finished, I said that was lame.
Yeah, I was there for that. She said that.
He can quote me.
He can quote you. It was
that
true.
Was lame. That was Torie.
That was Torie right there. It's like, I don't know. It's definitely one of my least favorite battles of Game of Thrones. Like I can think back to all the great battles, like the Battle of the Bastards, awesome. My personal favorite, Battle of Blackwater. I love the Battle of Blackwater so much.
I remember that one.
That was the first one with the arrow that Bronn shoots that explodes the boat. Season 2, Tyrion gives a great speech.
Totally forgot about all this shit.
Well, that one's awesome. What other battles are there?
Hardhome?
Hardhome is great.
Oh, that was great.
The Watchers on the Wall, like that, the wall battle.
I don't remember that one.
It had a great one-track shot that started like at the top. Yes, season 4. It had like the start of the wall, and like the camera panned all the way down to like to the bottom of the wall.
That was when they first had like the giants and stuff, right?
Yeah, the giants.
There's one last season with the dragon. I don't know. That one wasn't. What do you guys think of that one? That one wasn't very memorable in my idea.
Oh, I disagree.
With the dragons burning everyone. I mean, I guess that was a highlight. Dragons burning people alive.
It was the first time we saw. It was like really two sides that we cared about, because it was like Jaime and Bronn versus Daenerys and Tyrion. So it's just like, who do you want to win?
Yeah. Anyways, this battle sucked in comparison to all those.
Yeah. Because
you couldn't see shit, and nobody died. Yeah, that was important. The people that died in this episode were the ones that, in my opinion, they were the ones that were easy to kill. They were either ones that were fated to die, like they were pretty much expected to die, or they were characters that people loved and but had no bearing on the story. For example, Lyanna Mormont. She was a fan favorite.
Yeah.
And they killed her off, but she really had no bearing on the story. So at the end of the day, it was kind of like, in my opinion, I was not impacted by that death at all. What about you guys?
No.
It was the only one I felt like that's kind of cool. Like,
Ooh,
I mean, like
nice.
it was nice to do stuff. Like the rest of the deaths were. Let's walk through them in order. The first death, I was actually the one I was really actually sad about. Dolores Ed, who is like my favorite character. I love Dolores Ed.
Yeah, you love Ed. You said this several times.
I think I shouted at the screen. Yep, I shouted to the heavens on top of a mountain. I'm like, no! When he got stabbed because Sam was weak again.
Yeah, Sam should have died a lot in that episode, by the way.
Yeah.
Who died after? Lyanna was next. Lyanna was number 2.
Was it Lyanna? I thought it was something. No, Beric, right?
Yeah.
I thought Beric died after.
Beric died after. Fuck it, whatever. Doesn't matter.
Okay, Beric died, which is we knew. I mean, like
He was gonna die.
He got stabbed a lot.
And then he was like fine with them.
Yeah.
He was what?
He was fine after he got stabbed.
Yeah, so he got stabbed in the okay, so there's that scene where they're running down the hallway and it's like he gets stabbed and he's like, oh, he's dead, and then he keeps running, and then he gets stabbed like multiple times, like, oh, now he's dead. It's like, no, he keeps running. It's like, wow, this guy can get stabbed and run a lot.
I was curious to see how many times he got stabbed and if that was the same amount of time that he's died and been brought back to life.
That's pretty cool. That makes sense.
That's clever.
Mm-hmm. But he got stabbed too many times, and it was too blurry. I couldn't see what was going on.
Yeah, there was a cool. I thought that was cool when he was like holding the whites back while being stabbed at the same time.
It was, but you know what that was? He was pinned like Jesus. He had his arms outstretched like he was on a cross.
Yeah,
that's the next thing I was gonna say. He was basically the Jesus of that hallway scene.
Yeah, because he was dying and resurrected. So he died, which was like okay.
Yeah.
And then I believe it was just Jorah. Jorah was next.
Jorah and Greyjoy. Greyjoy.
Oh, Theon. Jorah and Greyjoy, who we knew from like those were the two. Like if we had a bet on who would die, like those two were gonna die. It's more surprising that more people didn't die. Like Grey Worm survived out of all people.
Exactly.
Yeah, the frontline people.
yeah. The people that were in the very front of the battle, most of them survived to the very end. They didn't really, and that's kind of the thing too. Is like only a few people really got their time to shine in this big ass battle, whereas everyone else kind of just went on a killing spree. Like from the very beginning, like I'm talking Jaime, I'm talking Brienne, Tormund. Like from the very beginning, they were at the front and they got pushed back inside the castle. And then pretty much as soon as they went inside the castle, all we see them do is hacking away at zombies. Yeah, every time it's just like, oh, there they are again. Oh, still hacking away. They're still alive. And that's all they did the whole night, just standing on a pile of zombies, fighting them all off.
And living
and not dying at all.
And I imagine that's a story choice. I'm sure that's someone saying like, no, because this isn't about brave battles and everything. When it comes down to it, this is just fighting. There aren't any brave moments in real life. It's war. And like I can see that going through the director's head, but as an audience member, it's like, screw that. I want actual moments. Like I'm watching this to be entertained. I don't want to see all these people just hack away.
Yeah, I mean, of all the battles that we've had, this would be the one to kill off a major character. Yeah. Any major character, any character we like all the characters that survived, they're all fan favorites in one way or another. And it's disappointing. I'm disappointed that the show did not follow through on the sort of Game of Thrones expectation. Like, we've been talking about how the last few seasons, the show's really been pulling its punches. And this is the last season. I just feel like they should be going all out. Episode 3, we're already, we're done with half of the season. How come nothing crazy has happened yet?
Yeah, and this was supposed to be the big thing. This is the plot, right, of Game of Thrones. It started with the White Walkers. It started with it.
The first scene in the book, first scene in the show, it's about the White Walkers. We've been building this threat now for 8 seasons, and it ends in an hour and a half.
I thought
that's it? That's like, ugh.
Yeah. I thought the whole theme of the show was that man's petty squabbles with each other blinds us from the bigger threat, which is, that we all need to unite as humanity and overcome. But this episode proves that now it seems like Cersei being, unless there's a huge twist coming that I can't foresee, it sets up as Cersei as the big bad and that humans are the squabble, that the White Walkers were just a stepping stone. Which is like, again, it's like you see the creators trying to be like clever, just like how everyone thinks the White Walkers are going to be doing it. Actually, it's Cersei's the big bad. Suck
Cersei and Euron. Wow.
Night King, who doesn't die. Oh, look who just died. Cersei, still alive. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so, I mean, they could be setting us up for a major twist, but I am not holding my breath. I feel like for a while now, Game of Thrones has kind of been degenerating into a typical action fantasy show because we're out of the realm of the politicking, we're out of the realm of the interesting, complex interrelationships between this large cast of characters, because now we're in the end game where there's a big cast of characters on one side and then 2 characters on the other side, and that's it, And also, go ahead.
I was just going to say, well, I'm hoping that maybe this will be good, because now we're not setting it up for a huge battle like at the end. We're setting it up for back to that sort of political intrigue, character dynamics bouncing off one another with these final 3 episodes, which is something that Game of Thrones has shined at in the past. And so like maybe we'll get back to that.
I don't think so. They've been setting up that Cersei has 20,000 men that are ready to fight. They just won a battle. Now they're gonna win another war. Like, I don't think they're setting up for any more fancy talks and nice moments between characters. I think it's all just gonna be the who can, outlast the battle.
Yeah, I mean, I want to hold out for hope, but with the way they handled this battle in particular, for me, it reflects how the rest of the season is gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
Because this was a huge wasted moment, in my opinion, and if they fuck this up, then it's me more likely that they'll just screw everything else up.
Let me ask you this question. So last week we hypothesized that this battle was going to end in 1 episode, and it did. We were right, but we thought, or by the end of this episode, when nothing was getting resolved until the last moment, I thought they were going to push it to a 2nd episode, and I was like, oh my god, everyone's like dying. Like, how can they overcome? How can they do this? So I thought they were going to move it to a 2nd season and give us more of the same battle. Do you think, or 2nd episode. So do you think if they would have extended this to the 4th episode, it would have been better, or they could have planned more?
I don't even know. Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, because here's my understanding of like the Long Night, because apparently in the lore of Game of Thrones, this has happened, hundreds of years ago or whatever, right? And in my mind, when I imagine the Long Night, I imagine it happening like for weeks, if not, at least days. Like this Long Night happened. It stretched out for several nights, kind of thing. So, and even though we said that it would have been, it would all be wrapped up in 1 episode, I think it would have been at least more appropriate if it lasted for at least 2 episodes. And so with that in mind, yes, I do think it would have been better if it was handled in 2 episodes, because then that would give you a sense of it would give you that sense of doom, I would think, for longer. Like imagine this episode, everything happens except we don't know the ending. Like leave it on like a cliffhanger. Wouldn't that kind of give you that feeling of like the Long Night? It's like, oh, the Long Night's here. Now we gotta wait a whole week for all that to be resolved. So it's kind of like fits in that theme of like this overwhelming force that has cast a shadow over Westeros, instead of this sort of like, oh, this battle happened.
One big battle
in 1 night, and
Yeah, we'll wrap it up at the very end, a nice bow for.
You know what would have solved that problem? That would have played along with, like you asked, if the Night King wasn't there and he was actually in King's Landing. That would have been actually set up a good conflict for these last 3 episodes and actually made the Night King more, like an actual character instead of just this force. Because we still don't know his background, really what he wanted. I was expecting to get at least a little more out of him, but we really didn't.
We didn't even get his voice like he wanted.
I really thought he was going to talk, and he never did.
Nope, no talking allowed.
Oh man, so do you guys want to talk about that scene? How it ends, or
the
is there
final...
anything you want to talk before?
I want to talk about their stupid battle plan that sacrificed, smart strategy for cool shots. Because we'll start the episode off, which is it's an awesome visual, right? Melisandre lighting the swords. That's awesome. Like, it looked cool.
Yeah.
But I also thought of like, when did she learn how to do that?
She knew how to do that. She did that in season 2. She lit swords.
Yeah.
Really? Like several swords at once?
Not several. She lit one sword before.
I thought that was just like oil on a sword or something.
I think she explains when she, brings back Jon from the dead. She just asks, and the Lord of Light obeys.
Yeah, sometimes he listens, sometimes he doesn't.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Continue.
And it's the awesome plan. So all the Dothraki swords are lit. Cool. But then they have the stupid decision to let the Dothraki ride out and meet them.
That was
in the dark.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah. Where are we gonna start? First of all, you can't see your enemy. like
They can see you,
and they can see you. Like you don't know what formation they have, or like how many are like if the whites had like a phalanx formation, like the what are they called? The Daenerys' army. The Unsullied.
The Unsullied, yeah.
Then they would have, gotten wiped out right away. I mean, they got wiped out right away anyways. But anyways, the other thing is, like, the Dothraki are hugely, vastly outnumbered by the White Walkers, I assume. And I think that's a correct assumption, that, like, maybe there's, like, hundreds of Dothraki and, like, thousands of zombies. So you're not going to break their formation anyway. And
what's the point?
Yeah, it's like, again, and then what is the point of, like, are you planning to break their formation? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
It's who said the line? Yeah, go ahead, Tori.
Let me just ask this question. The Unsullied outnumber the Dothraki, I'm assuming, right?
It must have.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I don't know why they didn't switch their position a little bit. Not that it would matter, but still. It makes more sense if you have more people who are actually blocking the front and being the front line to be in front instead of people on horses and the swords. Like, I don't know. But anyway, continue.
I was saying, who had the idea of just like, let's have them charge out there because I just want to know what their end goal. Maybe they'll win. Like, maybe they'll wipe everybody out. But because, especially when Jon knows that Jon has said countless times, it's like they don't leave bodies on the field, that they raise dead. So it's like, you're just giving them more people.
Yeah.
So then by doing that, it would have made more, it was just for the cool shot of seeing the lights extinguished. Like, that's the only reason. And because it's probably cheaper.
So dark.
And it's so dark, and because it's cheaper than probably filming a lot of horse battles, like that's going to be expensive.
Yeah, it was a convenient way to basically get rid of all the Dothraki. It's like,
it would have made
more
more sense if the Dothraki broke formation, like if they decided to charge out on their own when it wasn't a part of the plan to go fight the evil. Like if they were taunted out and then they charged forward, or like that would have been, at least an explanation, Because right now their plan was stupid.
Also, Ghost was in that charge, but we don't get to see any Ghost on zombie action. What the fuck? Wasted opportunity.
And we don't. It seems like Ghost is alive.
He's alive. I think he was in the. Wasn't he in the trailer?
Sure he was in the trailer for the next one.
So he's alive.
And it was stupid because Jorah was part of the Dothraki front force, and then he just comes back.
Yeah, he's fine.
Yep. He didn't even tell anyone, he didn't even say, that was a bad idea.
Guys,
why do we do
this was
that?
completely my bad.
The other thing, why didn't they go out with their dragons first and just fire the crap out of
Stupid part number 2. It's like, let's wait.
Yeah. Let's wait until they're there, and then we could possibly burn our own men because they're all mixed in with each other, and then try to block them off, but not before, but only after.
No. Okay, I kind of understand this reasoning because even Jon kind of says the reason just before Daenerys flies off. Because remember, they're supposed to be in reserve for when the Night King appears. So when the Night King, because that's the main target, right? So the Night King is riding on a dragon, and whenever he shows up, then you're going to want to go full force on him, because if you kill him, then, then you win the game, basically. And also, like I said last season, we established that the Night King is an Olympic-level javelin thrower that is able to slay these dragons. So, and again, because it's dark, if they just fly their dragons out, there's a possibility that they just kill their dragons. So, I don't have a problem with that. I think keeping the dragons in reserve was fine, and then Daenerys being like, well, fuck it, let's just go out and use them anyways. I think that's a good development. I think I'm okay with that part of the battle.
Okay, I guess that part sort of makes sense. So then afterwards, they all come back. Then the Unsullied does like a retreat, and then Grey Worm like leaves everybody behind.
Yeah, he's just like standing there watching them.
He goes back, and then it seems like he's the one who has the idea to bring the Red Woman out to light the trench. But it seems like a lot of those Unsullied die.
Yeah, okay. And speaking of the trench, why didn't they just light the trench beforehand? Like, have all your men behind the trench, and it's kind of like a trap. It's like, okay, now you've fallen for our trap. We baited you. Boom, trench is lit. Now we've got you where you want you. And then maybe you bring the dragons out, or maybe then you bring out the Dothraki, because at least you could see them, and it would be a surprise attack or something like that. I don't know. But like, and plus, like the Unsullied have those large spears, so I mean, you could probably poke them from beyond the trench. I don't know. I just feel like there were so many better ways to handle this battle. And you know what? I'm a military commander, so I know these things. I played Rome Total War. I played video games. Like, man, just hire me. Just hire me, Jon Snow.
So then they all retreat. Then they're back in the castle, and then that's when everything becomes a clusterfuck.
Yeah,
right?
And yep, that's when it turns from tactical battle to slay all the zombies / run away from the zombies horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
And two parts that I have problems with are, one, it's like we got a really extended sequence of Arya. Like I did not really care for that tension scene of her alone in the library.
Yeah, it didn't do anything. Like, it didn't add anything to the plot or anything. I don't know why they wasted so much time in the library.
It makes sense at the end when it proves that this is really like kind of part Arya's story, so we needed to have more scenes of her. But it's like in that moment, I was like, this is kind of boring.
Waste of footage.
Yeah, it's like you're really trying enough.
Nerds.
Nerds. And then we get to the moment where people come alive and start slaughtering people in the crypts. But nothing comes from that either because all of our main characters survive.
And it seemed like almost everybody except for that one woman.
Just that one woman. Ah, fuck, why is it me? Why is it me? I thought, did you guys think that Tyrion and Sansa were going to kill themselves?
I kind of thought that's what they were. I thought that they were thinking about it.
Yeah, because Sansa, took out her dagger, and then Sansa looked at Tyrion, and Tyrion looked at Sansa, and they kind of had, this... It looked like a look of understanding. They're going to kill themselves. But what did they end up doing? Actually, I thought
that was like an affirmation that they were gonna fight for their lives if it came down to it. But then they didn't even do that either. They just walked over.
Yeah, that's right. They snuck over to where everyone else was. They gave up a perfectly good hiding spot just to be where everyone else was.
Yeah, because they ruined it. They didn't even have a good moment, a hero moment of just them trying to fight to save the day.
Yeah.
Because then it was all over.
Speaking of hero moment and Tyrion, we didn't get Tyrion's redemption.
Tyrion's still an idiot.
He's still a dum-dum.
Yeah, and you thought they were going to do that because he even mentions in the crypt, if I was up there, there's something I might be able to see or something I might be able to do differently if I was up there. Yeah. That was basically them saying in the story, Tyrion, you need to go up there and do something else.
No,
yeah, something he can find out.
That's not what it was, because what Sansa says afterwards is, the reality is, we're useless, that's why we're down here. If we were out there, we'd get killed. So to me, that was like the writers telegraphing to the audience, no, Tyrion's not going to get a moment this episode, because if he were up there, he would die. And I can believe that.
Wouldn't the natural thing of that episode be, okay, but if we're not up there, I guess if we're going on this traditional hero story, then down in the crypts, they would get their moment to shine, to be a hero.
I think so.
Because Tyrion was down in the crypts, he was able to save the day. He was able to outthink the zombies there and get away. But nope.
But see, this is not what war is about. It's not about heroic moments and things like that. It's about hiding in crypts, and if you're useless, you're useless. And
being scared, and yada, yada, yada.
What I thought Tyrion's hero moment, quote unquote, was going to be, is that he was going to tell Sansa and him to hide in the crypt. Hide in an open crypt, and that would keep them alive. But
would have been good.
Yeah, would have been good.
You know what's funny too is those are Starks. Those are all dead Starks.
Yeah, I wanted to see a headless Ned or something, or Catelyn Stark, a hint of Lady Stoneheart from the novels.
Did they ever bring them back? Their bodies back?
Yeah,
Catelyn or Ned?
Yeah, they're both in the crypts.
Ned's body's back though?
Yeah, they brought him back. Not his head, but
okay, not his head. Yeah, that would have been... Yeah, imagine a headless Sean Bean.
Just swinging a sword randomly because you can't see anything.
Speaking of all these dead people, when the dragons were burning everything and trying to keep all the hordes gone, they should have burned the bodies. Did they forget that detail?
Yeah, it was frantic, I guess.
But, these guys are supposed to be war expert.
No.
They've been through lots of wars.
John just charges into battle and hopes everything turns out okay.
And every time someone died during the Night's Watch or when they were dealing with White Walkers, they would say, burn the body, burn the body. But I guess...
But you can't really focus on burning the body when you're being overrun by zombies.
I know.
You gotta focus on saving your friends and your pals.
But it ended up doubling their army, basically.
Yeah, but I could see why you wouldn't think of that in the heat of battle. And also, John, like you said, Coby, he just charges in the shit. He's not exactly a tactical genius. Things just work out for him. And speaking of John...
go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was just gonna say, speaking of John, he was resurrected by the Lord of Light, supposedly. And so he was brought back for a reason. And did anyone else think that reason had something to do with the Night King?
I
Because
thought
I
so.
thought so.
I thought so too.
But apparently, the reason for bringing him back is something to do with Cersei or King's Landing.
You know what it means? Now that I think about it, well, one, because I think it's again the writers enjoying playing with expectations for the sake of story. Just in terms of everyone thinks Jon's going to fight the Night King, but you know what would be great if he doesn't. That will really surprise people.
Dun, dun, dun.
But really, what that seems to me now, after just you saying that, is that does mean he's probably going to be king. That's what he's destined for. That's why he got brought back.
But why would the Lord of Light care about that?
He wouldn't, and that's why that's stupid.
Well, okay, let me ask you this. The prophecy for the person that's supposed to bring
Azor Ahai.
Azor Ahai. What are they supposed to do?
Well, so
what's the prophecy again?
So the prophecy, there's several steps to this prophecy, but apparently some person is supposed to fit all this criteria of this hero that is supposed to defeat the Long Night. Like, the hero of the Long Night is Azor Ahai, and he wields like a flaming sword and yada yada yada. There's all kinds of details to this prophecy. But as we know, the person who ended the Long Night was Arya, and in pretty much every way you cut it, she doesn't really fit the prophecy as neatly as Jon does, or Dany does, or even some other characters that could potentially been it. Potentially Jaime, potentially even Jorah.
Yeah.
That being said, though, I'm thinking to now that I think about it, though, I think Azor Ahai is a bigger prophecy in the books than it was in the show.
Yeah,
like in all fairness, Azor Ahai was like barely mentioned in the show, and they didn't really explain it much.
Well, the only person that ever was looking for that person was Melisandre. So I thought because she came back, that would mean that Azor Ahai was gonna pop up somewhere in this episode.
Well, apparently it's Arya though, because remember when Melisandre talks to Arya, and she's like, "I come back to you. You're gonna end all types of life, or close all kinds of eyes, like
brown eyes, green eyes, and blue eyes." Which is because that's bullshit. Because if you go back to the original quote, she slots blue eyes in the center there. Like she goes like brown eyes, blue eyes, green eyes. So that could be anybody. But like now when she says it, this one, she's like brown eyes, green eyes, blue eyes. Like it's like that's not how you phrased it before.
You know, she's just throwing shit against the wall and seeing what sticks. You know, it could be anyone probably. She's just desperate at this point.
I mean, she thought it was a bunch of people. So at this point, who knows what it is?
It could have been literally anyone.
And I cannot believe it's Arya.
Yeah, so I guess we could talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about the moment. That was a surprising moment though. Like I literally was not expecting Arya to pop out of literally nowhere and then do her fancy move like that. Like that elicited a gasp out of me, and that was like the first truly surprising moment of the episode. So I'm not mad at it because I want those type of emotions, but on the other hand, it's like Arya, like interesting.
I'm mad at it. I'm mad. You know why?
Why?
Arya did not deserve that kill.
Yeah.
So many other characters have been involved with this battle between, light and ice and fire and, fighting through the Night's Watch and dealing with these White Walkers for many, many seasons. And for Arya just to charge up and do that, it wasn't her kill. It was not her kill.
Yeah, in terms of storytelling, that's like... I can't think of a good analogy, but that's not okay.
It's like if Chewbacca shot Darth Vader in the face.
Yeah, exactly.
And just like, haha, he did it. So it's like, that's not his battle.
And Chewbacca goes...
Exactly.
And I mean, before the Night King, nothing could get past him, and all of a sudden she could just run past all of his guards and get close enough to get her strangled, but also enough to get him killed.
That was definitely bullshit, because in the library, a single mindless zombie, was able to sense her blood dripping on the floor. And you're telling me a whole swathe of zombies, plus all of the White Walkers themselves, like the head honchos, none of them could sense her jumping out of the shadows?
Why not use her faceless mask powers? That's literally...
that would have made more sense. If your guys' idea had come true, where Bran unveils himself
that was
and
my
stabs
thing.
him. See, that would have been sick. Okay, it would have solved two problems. It would solve one, Arya being a badass, that would have been I would have accepted that. Mm-hmm. And two, Bran sitting around not doing shit would have been like kind of explained away. Like, it was all a trap. But actually, no. Bran was sitting around doing nothing, and Arya was able to sneak past for some reason.
He warged in some ravens.
But that's all he did. He was just
watching the whole.
He was just sitting. Like, does he even have to do that? There's zombies in front of him at this point.
He just didn't want to talk to Theon.
Also, another way this could have gone, and I would have been okay with it, because Theon goes down after the Night King kind of just walks up and stabs him, and Theon's there looking at, like, just below the Night King, staring at him. If he would have just, like, turned over and went, ugh, and stabbed him with the knife and killed him, I would have been like, you know what, Theon? You deserve that. Go for you. You were here defending. All of your other shitty guards are all dead, and that's all you, man. You did it.
I did wish he had a better fight scene than just, run up and immediately get stabbed.
That's true.
Like, if I would have, like, waited, like, like, I wouldn't just charged him with my big spear, but I guess I would have stuck with the arrows, because that seemed to be working very well for the Greyjoys.
No, he ran out of arrows, remember?
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
He did run out of arrows.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason they used arrows was for that reason, where he'd be like, oh, no more arrows.
Yeah, that's true.
Now I gotta switch to a spear. That's a weird weapon of choice, by the way.
Yeah.
Because that's a short. You're in a little meadow.
You're a zombie. What are you gonna do?
You're not in shooting range, really. They're gonna charge at you, and you're not gonna be able to aim straight.
But we know that Theon has been established as this expert archer.
Oh yeah.
And the Iron Isles, they're all archers.
Archers. That's what they're known for.
The Navy men. They're archers.
The Ironborn are the elves of Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, yeah, that was bullshit. What else can we talk about? So Jon and Dany were conveniently left out of the battle for most of it.
Because it's just stuck in battle for a really long time.
Yeah. Does Jon's dragon survive? Was he in the trailer?
He's in the trailer for next episode.
Yeah,
even though it looked like he died.
It totally looked like he died. Yeah. I thought it would have made more sense too if it was only one dragon left.
Yeah. I like Jon's plan of just like, I'm not going to run away from the zombie dragon. I'm just going to face it and see what happens.
I'm just going to scream in its face. That'll work.
Yeah, that was kind of stupid.
But Jon's not known to be very smart, so I'll give that one to Jon.
Yeah. And then Jorah died.
And then Jorah died, which was whatever.
I thought it was sad that he lasted the entire battle and then just died.
Well, that was I see that as the point of just like he lasted the entire battle, but then died as soon as, because he wouldn't let himself die till Khaleesi was absolutely safe. Like, he was already dead, but he just wouldn't die until she was okay.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. His story's over. Poor Jorah. I feel bad for Jorah. He's a nice guy, Jorah.
Yeah.
Did everything for the love of his life, and he didn't really get any. You know what I'm saying?
He didn't get lucky in terms of only the main characters survived. Like when Jon was rushing into the Winterfell and like seeing everybody, the only ones who were still up was like the main characters.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's I don't know, and that does not. I don't know. It doesn't bode well to them.
I mean, it's not characteristically Game of Thrones like, but it hasn't been like that for the past couple of years, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
We should have seen all of our favorite characters die.
We were expecting it to.
At least one character that we really like, that people have a mass appeal for. Like Brienne would have been an easy person to kill too, but that would have been more emotionally impactful than Theon or Jorah.
And
Brienne, Tormund.
And maybe they're saving this for the battle with Cersei, but I don't know. I think the stakes for this were so much higher, and I think it would have been a more honorable death for them to die here.
And speaking of the battle with Cersei, they only have like maybe 50 guys left.
Yeah.
No, they just have the main characters.
Yeah, you're gonna
that's all
see
you need.
when next episode. It seems like there's going to be a lot more than we expect.
Yeah, and that could be an interesting point of conflict. Like I expect that they're going to explain it away, but at least explain it. Like, hey, don't we have no more men left? But you see, we have a dragon still, so it counts as 10,000 men, and we're fighting Cersei, so, it's not like the Night King, who also has a dragon, blah, blah, blah. But,
I think it'll be an interesting conflict in terms of, because I hope they talk about this, is just like when they always said Daenerys could win because she could just take her dragon and burn King's Landing to the ground. Even though she doesn't want to do that because that would cause other people. But now she has no men to fight in her army, so her only option seems to be dragon. So what will she do?
Yeah, that is an interesting question. But the trailer for the episode, it seemed very optimistic. Did you guys get that feeling from it?
I saw briefly. It's like they all cheer or something.
Yeah, like woo.
And
fair
Cersei's
enough.
looking fire with that red dress. Like that outfit looks awesome.
I would think that the tone for an episode following a giant battle like this would be more like, holy shit, we almost all died. Let's lick our wounds and regroup. But no, it's more like, yeah, we fucking won. Let's go fight Cersei next. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, even though all of our favorite characters lived, they look pretty awful. Like, they look shitty. Like, they look like they probably were gonna die anyway, and they're probably dead next episode.
It's okay. They're gonna take a bath. It'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone will be fine. There'll be victories.
Okay.
It's a bath. Yeah.
That's basically it.
Yeah, Arya getting that kill though. I mean, who would have been better? Who would you prefer? I would have preferred Jon, even though it's obvious. Like sometimes you don't gotta subvert expectations.
Sometimes make it a cool fight. Give Jon the reason for his purpose.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like the cool fight idea. Like, there was no cool fights with this guy. He just exploded and died.
Just got stabbed and exploded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would have been cool. What I thought before everyone was gone, it was just Bronn and the Night King. I thought they were gonna have a cool psychic battle, where where Bronn goes into his mind and like tries to corrupt him or something, and you see both their past or something like that. I don't know.
It would have given Bran something to do,
yeah.
other than sit around and tell Theon he's a good man.
Watch the battle upstairs with some ravens.
Yeah, and I totally thought that those crows were gonna get burned alive by that dragon fire, because they flew dangerously close to that dragon fire.
They flew, and then I think my girlfriend V, as soon as she flew, was like, "Oh, need to get more ravens." Try again.
The Raven Reserve.
I would have liked everybody. How great would it have been to see all of our characters face off against the Night King?
Yeah.
Like a final stand.
Get a shot, and then some of them die, some of them don't. That would have been cool. That would have been a cool way to kill some characters. Yeah, like that's what the audience wants. They just want some payoff to it all. And I don't feel like 8 seasons of building up the White Walkers was paid off well. This was just kind of like another fantasy action fight with zombies.
Yeah.
That wasn't lit very well.
Yeah, we couldn't see shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, hopefully it gets better. I mean, hopefully, I always like to believe in some back of my mind that they have a plan, that there's a reason for all of this. And hopefully the story that they're telling is better than anything with the White Walkers, which, I can kind of get behind, because they're, again, like you mentioned at the beginning, their political character drama has always been, to me, more interesting than the White Walkers. So now that they're off the board, let's focus on back to that stuff that was really good. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I don't. I still I'm cool with the White Walkers being wiped off in one episode. I just wish it was handled better, because I do think the White Walkers deserve at least that level of respect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to the character drama, I guess.
Unfortunately, my hope is kind of lost. I don't think it's gonna be good these next 3 episodes.
Yeah, I'm with this whole season. Like from the beginning, I've been withholding, any hopes of the season being impressive. But even still, this episode disappointed me. So yeah, you screwed up the showrunners.
All right. Well, I guess we'll be back next week with another exciting installment to see how our expectations and hopes and dreams are dashed. Again, I guess that's all we'll have to say about that, because then we're just repeating ourselves. Thank you all so much for listening. You've been listening to some Nerd Blaze. Like, comment, subscribe for all that fun stuff. Let us know if we're wrong or not, if this Game of Thrones episode was awesome, or vindicate us by saying that we're right. Thank you all very much, and we'll see you next time.
See you next week.